So Jake Paul will be returning to the boxing ring after his win over Nate Diaz, and he'll be fighting, an actual boxer, like a guy who boxes for a living, in Andre August. I've seen a lot of people giving Jake Paul flack for this matchup. I don't understand it. I feel like people will never be happy. Like, people are never going to be happy with what Jake Paul does when it comes to boxing. It's first, fight a pro boxer, or fight an actual fighter, and then he fights an MMA fighter. Obviously Ben Askren sucks at boxing. Let's be real. Ben Askren will tell you that himself. He can't fucking box. He literally just thought Jake Paul sucked, so he thought he would win. But he is not a boxer. Boxing is not, you know, Ben Askren's game at all. But after that, it was take on Tyron Woodley. He's powerful. He beats Tyron Woodley, and everyone just cries after crying. And then it was he lost to Tommy Fury, and he's gone back to MMA fighters now because he fought Nate Diaz. He's fighting a legitimate boxer. Obviously, it's not Canelo Alvarez or a big name, but he is taking the traditional boxing route. So no matter how this goes, I feel like people should show him some respect for this. Like, this is a pretty gutsy move. He doesn't have to do this. He could quite easily just go and beat up some influencers, fight some shitty MMA fighters in boxing. But instead, he's taken on an actual boxer. And Andre August, I've watched some tape on the guy. Very aggressive fighter, constantly in your face. This guy's always pressuring forward. It'll be interesting to see how Jake Paul handles this because outside of the pressure fighters he's fought, none of them really have power. He fought Nissan Gibb, who I don't know what he was doing in that fight. He was crouching a lot, like they were saying he was like a crab. That was really weird to see from a Nissan Gibb in that fight. Obviously, he looks more improved in other matchups, but he didn't have much. He doesn't have much power. Not Andre August type power, at least. This guy looks pretty powerful, but the guys he's fighting, obviously, he's fighting journeyman. He's not really fighting anyone good. Let me just pull up the records of the guys he's fighting. I have it right here. So Andre August made his debut in 2013 against a debutant. Went to a draw with a debutant. Beat a 1-1 guy. Debutant 1-0, 0-4. Lost to a 3-3 guy, Eric Abraham. I couldn't find this fight anywhere. I looked as much as I could, but I couldn't find how the fight with Eric Abraham went. But he did get TKO'd. Then after that, it was a 6-25 opponent, 5-16, 7-13, 4-3, and then he beat a 7-0 opponent in his last fight in a comeback for his comeback fight because he hadn't fought for 4 years before that, and he won a decision. So he's been going to decision lately. He hasn't got a KO since he fought 6-25 Jeremy Parks. So maybe this is just a sign that he maybe isn't that powerful. It's just been the level of competition. He's a solid guy though. He looks pretty athletic. He's 5'10 though, so a bit shorter than Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul's like 6 foot. I don't know what his actual height is, but I think he's at least 6 foot, maybe 5'11. So not that much bigger than him, but still, I ex- I expect Jake Paul to be the bigger man though. I do think he will be the bigger man in this fight. But yeah, obviously, being a this is taking the traditional boxing route. He's Andre August is also taking the traditional boxing route here. He's not really fighting the greatest level of competition himself. He's not going in there and fighting fucking, Canelo Alvarez or anything. And I gotta add, he is 35 years old, so he's in his prime or just exiting his prime. So especially coming off a long layoff. It is an interesting fight, though. Like I say, this guy pressures. I'd say he's more powerful than Nate Diaz and Anisong Gibb. I don't think that's crazy to say. Nate Diaz is not known for his power in MMA at all. So boxing gloves is just going to neuter his power even more. But this fight is generally very interesting. Like, maybe if he gets Jake on the back foot, he's not going to really be able to do much. But we have seen Jake Paul be able to fight on the back foot a bit. Uh, he every a lot of the guys he's fought have just been pressuring him. Like Nate Diaz pressured him. He did seem to be getting to him towards the 12th round, but that was after a pretty one-sided fight from Jake Paul. Like, he was just, I think he was maybe getting tired from beating the shit out of Nate Diaz. It just happens. But I think for this fight with Andre August, I think I'm going to go with Jake Paul. I'm not super confident on it. This is a risky fight. Jake Paul doesn't have to do this. He didn't have to do this. I'm going to go with Jake Paul here. just because we have seen Andre always get TKO'd. I'm not sure how brutal it was, but he does seem to be pretty hittable. I think Jake is going to be more physically imposing than Andre August. I think he's a harder hitter. I know it's crazy to say about Jake Paul versus an actual boxer, but like Jake Paul is a boxer. I don't care what anyone says. The guy's had like fucking 8 boxing matches, professional boxing matches. He's 7-1, and then he also fought Deji. So the guy's spent a lot of time in the fucking ring at this point. Like you gotta just say he's a boxer. Like stop this shit that he's not a real boxer. Real boxers don't fight boxers in their first few fights. They fight fucking mailmen, milkmen, fucking taxi drivers, Uber drivers. They fight them types of guys in their first few fights. Jake Paul's just gone straight to a guy with a winning record. He is fighting the guy who, crushes the fucking Uber drivers, the milkmen, the fucking deli owners and everything. He's not fighting the milkmen or anything like that. He's fighting the guy who beats those guys. So that is respectable in my opinion. Like, it's weird though. It is weird because like, how do you factor in who's beat the better level of competition? Because obviously Andre August is beating Cans, but then at the same time, Jake Paul's beating influencers, MMA fighters, in boxing. So it's like, who do you rank higher? Whose opponents are better? Because like, he's beating Cans, but Jake Paul's beating like guys who can fight, but in different disciplines. Still think you could probably say Jake Paul's beat the better level of competition. Because I do rate that Anderson Silva win. Like that, even though Anderson Silva was much older, that is still a very good win. Because obviously Anderson Silva did beat Cesar Chavez Jr., which is a good win, even though people say, Julius Cesar Chavez Jr. is a can and everything. He's still decent. Like, he made it to a pretty high level. He fought Canelo Alvarez. He's won quite a few fights. He won a fight after the Anderson Silva fight as well. So, yeah, honestly, interesting. But, yeah, anyway, regardless, I think Jake Paul's going to get this. I can see him chinning Andre August, especially with how aggressive he is. I feel like when people are a bit aggressive to Jake Paul, he is very good at mixing like body head, body head. I could see Andre August getting very cocky, building his confidence, coming very aggressive. And I feel like I can just see Jake Paul maybe rocking him early with like a body head, making him a bit wary of the power coming from Jake Paul. And then I feel like I could just see Jake Paul landing a big shot. Like, even though Andre August is not like a smaller guy by any means, like I say, I think Jake Paul's going to be more physically imposing. I think he'll be more powerful than Andre August. Like I say, I watched the tape on him. He looks powerful, but at the same time, the guys he's fighting aren't good. And he is throwing a lot of shots at them. Like, it is taking him a while, and he's not really getting too many, like, out cold KOs. Like, obviously, the guy's a boxer. This guy is a genuine boxer. I'm not saying he's a fucking world championship fighter or anything like that, but he's a real boxer. If I hear people crying and, people give KSI respect because he beat Joe Fournier. Joe Fournier is not a boxer. He's a fucking billionaire, millionaire club owner, nightclub owner who just decided to, like, put on a pair of gloves and beat up cans for fun. Like, that's literally Joe Fournier. Joe Fournier is not a real boxer. If Jake Paul isn't a real boxer, then Joe Fournier is not a real boxer. Jake Paul's actually like beating these guys impressively, while Joe Fournier is sort of just like, I don't know, not even looking that great against these guys. Like, yeah, I don't know. People will hype up KSI for beating Joe Fournier, who's like fucking 45 years old, didn't box for years, beat a fucking reggae musician on Triller, Reke, I think his name was, or Raycon, or something like that. Like, seriously, this guy is way better than anyone KSI's beat, and people will still be shitting on Jake Paul for this. Like, I don't know, it's ridiculous. But still, I think Jake Paul is going to land a big shot on him. I don't know if he'll instantly KO him, if it'll be more like a TKO, but I feel like once Jake Paul gets some confidence on the feet, landing some big shots, if he sees him hurt, I feel like Jake Paul is good at, like, not going too overboard when he hurts people. He's a bit smart. I think he's probably gone more rounds, than Andre August. Like, how long are these fights? Like, does it even say on? I don't even think it says on BoxRec. So this is why Tapology's better. I can't even see. That's awesome. Wait, let's see. Event. Oh no, wait. There's a bout there. Surely it tells you how many rounds. Come on. Oh, awesome. I need to sign up to BoxRec. Well, I'm not doing that. But, Jake Paul's showing decent cardio. in these fights. Like it seems like his cardio is getting better. He's building up a lot of good experience. He's a lot younger as well. That's something you got to factor in. Like I say, Andre August is 35 years old. Jake Paul's like what, 26 years old? 20, yeah, he's 26. He's younger. He's very athletic. He's bigger. He's been more active as well, which is crazy to say about a professional boxer, but he has been more active than Andre August. And I just see him catching him maybe in this third round. I feel like third round TKO, KO for Jake Paul, but also maybe this just goes to another decision. Maybe I feel like a lot of this is going to be inside fighting as well. I feel like that's what they're trying to fix for Jake Paul here. I think they're really trying to work his inside boxing because this guy is just constant pressure. He's fights in the pocket. I feel like they're really trying to work on Jake Paul's inside fighting, pocket fighting. I feel like they're really trying to get him to work on that aspect of his game, and I feel like this is the perfect matchup to work that part of his game. But we'll see how this fight goes. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I say, Andre August seems like he's actually going to be a pretty tough test from what I'm seeing. The guy's constantly in your face. Don't know how good his chin is. Obviously, he's been TKO'd, but who knows what that was to. Maybe that was to a bunch of body shots. It didn't say KO, so who knows. Maybe, like, he is KO'able. Like maybe he got dropped 3 times in that fight or something. So it'll be interesting to see. We don't like from what I couldn't really find much bad footage of the guy. It just seems like all of his wins are out there. I watched the highlights of all of his like victories and everything, where he looked decent in them. But like I say, not against great level of competition. But regardless, I'm gonna take Jake Paul in this fight. I think he'll get this one done. But don't you know I wouldn't bet on this shit. I wouldn't fucking bet on this. I wouldn't put big bets on Jake Paul or anything. Honestly, I'd sprinkle a little bit on the underdog. Because at the end of the day, even though I don't think Jake Paul's that bad, we got to factor in he's fighting like influencers and MMA fighters and Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is, I guess you could say, a real boxer, but he is still at the end of the day a reality star who's not fully taking boxing that seriously. So at the end of the day, maybe Jake Paul goes in there and gets hurt. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying it's always good to sprinkle on a little bit on the underdog when it comes to fights like this, especially when they're an actual, traditional boxer like Andre August, because you never know with these things. Like look at that Dr. Mike guy. He fucking absolutely schooled iDubbbz, and then he went and fought Chris Avila, who's not even like a proper boxer. He's an MMA fighter, and he absolutely got the fucking shit beat out of him. You can never know with these matchups. It's always smart to be cautious if you're betting on this. I feel like I'm giving a little talking to like children. I feel like I'm one of those ads like, gamble responsibly, but generally gamble responsibly when it comes to fights like this. Don't be going fucking drawing $100,000 out on Jake Paul and losing the life savings. Your wife gets pissed off at you. You fucking gave away your son's university fund. Like, don't do that. Don't do that on fights like this, because you can never know when you put in influencer against a traditional boxer. And I know people say, "Oh, it's rigged. Jake Paul's definitely gonna win," but like, still, man, I doubt it's rigged. I feel like people don't realize how fucking illegal that is. It will start a fucking chain reaction of investigations. People lose their licenses. Like, I don't think people realize like rigging fights is actually a very hard thing to do. Like, because people are gonna instantly think it's rigged because it's Jake Paul. So there's always gonna be eyes on that sort of shit. So they can't really rig a fight like this. But regardless, just don't go crazy on the betting, because you never know with these matchups. That's just a little disclaimer I'm giving you guys. Don't go crazy on it. But I think Jake Paul will win, but it is generally a very close fight. Maybe Jake Paul goes out there and smokes him. That is possible. Like, that's not. I'm not saying that's out of the realm of possibilities. I'm just saying, like, you never know. But anyway, I've ranted on too much there. But I'm going with Jake Paul here, probably by decision, maybe late TKO. I don't really know how Andre August's cardio is either. That's the thing. He's fighting at a high pace, but the guys he's fighting aren't really, doing too much off the back foot. They're not really throwing too much. There was a tall guy he fought where he just sort of battered the shit out of the guy. The guy had a bit of tall man defense, and Andre August sort of just battered him. I think that might have been the last guy he fought, 7-0, because I think that was the fight that went to a decision. He looked pretty alright in that fight, but the guy he was fighting didn't really do much in that fight, and he was landing some decent shots on him, but maybe Andre August's aggression will be too much here. But I just see him getting caught, or I see a decision. I know that's crazy. Wow, wow. You think he's gonna knock him out or decision him? Literally the only two ways you can fucking win in boxing. But I'm just saying. I just, at the very least, I think Jake Paul will drop him. That's what I'm gonna say. Like that is my hot take. At the very least, Jake Paul will drop him. He seems to drop all of his opponents. Dropped Tommy Fury. I can see him dropping Andre August. But anyway, that's all I've got to say about this matchup. So make sure you like this video. Let me know your thoughts on the matchup. Who are you picking? You picking the underdog, or you going with the problem, Jake Paul? But yeah, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I make plenty of breakdowns on all sorts of combat sports. I talk about all things combat sports related, and I'll see you guys next time. So thank you for watching. Put on them notifications. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.